Trying to control your anxiety might feel like the obvious solution, but I'm going to be honest with you. It's often the very thing that is keeping you stuck. Hi, I'm Cheryl. I'm the owner of Your Time to Shine Therapy, and I'm a therapist who works with people experiencing anxiety and overwhelm. I work with clients who are constantly trying to manage every anxious thought, suppress every worry, and control every situation, and yet they still feel trapped by anxiety. Maybe you've experienced this too. You try to force yourself to stop worrying, but your thoughts keep spinning round and round and round. I'm quite a big worrywart, or I used to be. I'm not as much a worrywart anymore, because I've learned to handle it better and to solve what's going on underneath. You know, do you try to avoid situations because you fear your anxiety will spike? I suffer with that sometimes, especially if I've got to drive somewhere and I'm not really sure where it is I'm going. I get really anxious about that. But I do use some of the techniques that I teach my clients to try and calm myself down with that. And do you feel exhausted from trying to control your body, your mind, and your environment? If this sounds familiar, then this video is for you. By the end of this video, you'll understand why control-based strategies often backfire and what actually helps you to feel calm and in control. When we try to control anxiety, we're essentially telling our nervous system a couple of the following things. So we're telling our nervous system that we're doing it wrong and we need to stop feeling this way. We're telling our nervous system that it doesn't respond to logic. It interprets this as a threat, and that in turn can increase tension in your body. It can make thoughts race more intensively, so they get really strong. It causes panic and restlessness and overwhelm. Ironically, the more you try to control it, the more persistent the anxiety becomes. Because if you're not listening and learning from it, then it'll just keep trying to show you what it is that's going on. Control is about forcing the outcome, trying to stop thoughts, feelings, or sensations from happening. Management is about working with the experience, observing your thoughts without judging them, noticing how your body feels, and responding instead of reacting. Because a lot of the time, that's what we do. We react to everything, and that makes things a lot worse. When you shift from control to management, you give your nervous system space to regulate naturally, which reduces anxiety over time. Sometimes strategies that often backfire include overthinking every possible scenario to prevent anxiety, avoiding situations that might trigger anxiety and trigger the feelings of anxiety, suppressing emotions or physical sensations, forcing relaxation, deep breathing, and positive thinking to get rid of their anxiety. These strategies, they can provide temporary relief. I'm not saying that they don't work, but they don't address the root patterns that are keeping your anxiety alive. And you need to get underneath it to see what's going on. So in my therapy sessions, I help clients to recognize when they're controlling their anxiety instead of responding to it. We identify the patterns fueling the anxiety, like over responsibility, perfectionism, people pleasing. We also learn nervous system regulation techniques, that doesn't involve forcing calm. And we process understanding emotions safely. So anxiety is no longer a warning that they have to constantly manage. The results that my clients often see from doing these things is, they feel calmer without constantly fighting their thoughts and being in a constant battle back and forth. They make decisions without feeling paralyzed when they're making these decisions. They feel less tension in their bodies. Even when they're stressed, they still don't feel as much tension. And they have greater clarity, energy, and focus within their daily lives. This approach works with the brain and the body, not against it, which is why it's far more effective than control-based strategies. Now, you're probably wondering, why does it matter? But if you've been trying to control your anxiety and it's not working, then it's not your fault. Anxiety is a signal, it's not an enemy. Trying to control it is like trying to control the waves in the ocean. It's exhausting and it's futile because it doesn't work. When you learn to respond rather than control, you can finally experience calm that lasts instead of temporary relief, and knowing that that anxiety is always going to come back. If this video resonates, then take a moment to notice one area where you've been trying to control your anxiety and ask yourself this question: what if responding rather than controlling could actually help me feel calmer? If you'd like help to break the cycle of a control-based anxiety, I work with clients on a one-to-one basis, and we work with things like calming the nervous system, processing underlying emotions, reducing overthinking and perfectionism, and feeling genuinely calm and in control. Please subscribe for more videos on anxiety, overwhelm, and mental health in general, and I'll give you practical strategies that actually work. And in the comments, let me know, where in your life have you been trying to control your anxiety and what happened when you tried? I do read every comment and I do reply to them. Thanks for watching. I shall see you all again soon. Bye for now.